Well, welcome along to the Time Farm Sporting Life Saturday preview, because this weekend we've got a Sunday preview too with the Arc de Triomphe at Paris Longchamp. But we're looking at Newmarket on Saturday in the company of Ben Linfoot and Matt Brocklebank. It's a Group 1 laden card. We've got one of the big betting races of the season 2 in the Bet365 Cambridgeshire, and that's our starting point. Going to get the Time Farm ratings up on screen, and Ben Linfoot, you wrote a piece earlier in the week about Greek Order. He's top of the shop, 123p. So why ain't you tipping him?
Well, he deserves that rating, doesn't he? 1, 2, 3 with a P. He is the obvious Cambridgeshire horse in the race, you would say. He's 7-2, 4-1 favourite generally across the board, which is pretty skinny. But you can see why, because he's just got that profile, hasn't he? Like quite a few Cambridgeshire horses in the past. You think back to the gamble on Pasternak, you think back to Pipe Dreamer, you think back to Lord North, who all went off fairly short prices relative to what we normally see in this race, and there's very few holes in this horse, admittedly. It's just a price thing, and it's a nature of the race thing. He can miss the break, he can be slowly away. That's got to be on your mind on the rolling mile when you've got 34 horses to overtake, and he's a 4-1 shot. So lots to like about him. Could be a future group horse. Want to be against him this weekend.
Now, we've got various video replay clips. We're going to be playing through this preview again. The first one is of Greek Order in winning form at Newbury. It's a stylish win. There's a bit of substance to it as well, Ben. Yeah,
you can see him there in the Judmont colours, in the pink cap on the left-hand side, and he's come from the rear and travelled up into this race nicely, and you can see why he's the Cambridgeshire fav in what he does in the last furlong, because he sprints away from them, doesn't he, in the style of a horse that's well ahead of his mark.
Does he want this cut in the ground? It was on the easy side, wasn't it, this day?
Yeah, I mean, he's come over to the stand side. Was this a faster strip this day? You know, there's a few things like that to consider, but he just looks a horse hugely progressive, doesn't he? He went up £10 for this. The horse in second, Maximilian Caesar, came out and franked the form, didn't he, with a win at Doncaster off the same mark he ran out at Newbury, which also gives substance to the form, as you were saying. So, yeah, like I said before, very few holes in this horse, and you watch that and you can see why he's top of the market.
Second in on Time Farm ratings, Matt, was Dual Identity. We've got video footage of him bouncing back to form in some style at Sandown as well.
Yeah, he absolutely hacked up this day. He was clearly well handicapped and he was well backed. He does seem to love Sandown. He seems to perform, holds his best for that track. He's actually not from 4 on the Rolly Mile at Newmarket, for what that's worth. He's also gone up £8 for this. So to be able to go back to back in 2 competitive handicaps, having been dealt a fairly hefty rise from the handicapper, is going to be tough. It also means he's £4 higher than when third in last year's Cambridgeshire. Now, he was perhaps a shade unlucky on the day. He kind of won the race on that far side, and in the end, maybe the draw turned out against him. But he performed with credit. He's a strong stay at the trip. He is proven on decent ground as well. And I think he's a pretty solid each-way player again.
Now, if you've got a monocle, stick it on now, because we're going to get the Cambridgeshire pace map up on screen. Now, obviously, this is a bumper field, but this will give us just a gauge as to where the pace is likely to be. Matt, I'm looking at it there. It looks a relatively even spread.
It does, yeah. It is a tough one, isn't it? You know, as you've suggested, on paper, it looks like there might be a fair amount of pace in the middle. What I tend to do, I would look at sort of some of the senior jockeys and try to tackle it maybe from their perspective. Where's Ryan Moore going from stall 15? James Doyle's in stall 12. Is Moore going to go from stall 15 to maybe lane 35 on the stand side? I find that hard to believe. So maybe he will be looking to angle towards the far side, those lower numbers, because there is pace in the lower numbers as well. Yeah, I think ultimately you sort of high has been favourable in recent seasons. I'm not totally sure that's going to be the case this year. There's a fair amount of guesswork involved, isn't there? I actually fancy one relatively high and one drawn a bit lower, so you just need a good gallop and a bit of luck.
Yeah, the stand side has held sway in recent years, and last year the peloton came towards the stand side, if you like, and the far side, they looked in control of the Cambridgeshire for 7/8 of the race last year, but it all changed in that last furlong. It was quite obvious the bigger group had the advantage on the stand side, and it could be a similar scenario once again.
Time for our final video clue now. So basically, you were around, Ben. Me and Matt were carrying the heavy loads through York Ebor week. This is Astro King winning at the Newmarket. How significant could this be? There's 3 or 4 in this, isn't there, Scoop, who've got chances in the Cambridgeshire?
There is. I like Haunted Dream, which is the grey horse on the right-hand side of the screen there for Ed Dunlop. This was not his only good piece of 10 furlong handicap form this season. He ran well in the John Smith's Cup as well, and he ran well at Goodwood in the Chesterfield Cup. And he just shapes like a horse to me that wants a strongly run 9 furlongs. As you can see, he just weakens out of it very late on, but a furlong out, he looked the horse who might go on and win the race. So I am interested in him on Saturday, but there are several horses from that race that could come out and run well in the Cambridgeshire. Right,
decision time, selection time for the Bet365 Cambridgeshire. Matt, what are you going to put up?
Well, I fancy a 100 to 1 shot to run well. Carolus Magnus, he's 2 from... he won twice for Andrew Bolden. They both came on the Rolling Mile. He's back on his last winning mark. I could see him going quite well for the Easterbees. They picked him up cheaply. My main selection would be Stormcatcher. I'm going to back him each way. Shane Foley's coming for the ride. Look, he won at Newcastle last month on one of those Racing League cards, and he won really cosily. He's only gone up to £4. I thought that was a really generous piece of handicapping. Look, he's trainer Simon Pearce. He's a real stable star. They don't have many winners at all, but he's rapidly improving. 2 starts ago, Frankie Dettori rode him at Ascot, and he was third that day behind a couple of good Godolphin horses. I think he's on an upward curve, and a sound surface, strong pace to really suit him as well. So yeah, I could see him travelling away and going well from a lowish draw.
Lovely stuff too from out there, Scoop.
I feel like we need some sort of siren going off in the studio for 100 to 1 fans, so we don't have many of those, do we?
Well, there might be a fire. You might get your wish. We could get evacuated.
I'm taking 2 against the field as well. Haunted Dream, for reasons just discussed, looking at the grey horse running really well at York last time. I think the Cambridgeshire is tailor-made for him. Morgan Cole takes £5 off, which could be crucial because he has been nudging up the weights. And the other one is last year's winner, Majestic. We've seen it before, Dave, haven't we? Bronze Angel come back and win the Cambridgeshire. Repeat winners do happen, and this horse is only £3 higher than when winning last year. He's been running well this season off higher marks at Epsom and York when he got his ground earlier in the campaign. And everything seems to have come right for him again. He's another one towards the stand side. So, yep, Haunted Dream and Majestic for me.
Let's have a look at one of the Group 1s on the card then. It's for the Colts. It's the Juddmonte Middle Park Stakes. I get the time form ratings up on screen for this. Now, we are very, very short of top-class British 2-year-olds this season. This is about our only one. Van Dijk, 127p, £5 clear of River Tiber on the ratings. Matt, is this going to be one for the home team?
He is flying the flag, Dave. What's not to like about Van Dijk? I think that's the only question you can ask. I really like him. He's unbeaten, he's improving. He's just won the best 2-year-old race, I'd say, run all year. You could argue, maybe with this weekend in mind, that he's got a bit of a rounded action. He's only ever raced on ground with some ease in it, but his sire, Havana Grey, has already produced some sort of decent ground winners. He was adaptable himself as well and won a few races on good to firm ground. I was just really impressed with his late burst. He got up to beat the star juvenile filly in France, Ramatouille, last time out. She'd won the Robert Papin, the Coventry winner, obviously reopposes River Tiber. He was back in third last time out in France. The Princess Margaret winner was fourth. The Norfolk winner was fifth. It's superb form, and Van Dijk is clearly very exciting.
Matt touched on the ground there, Ben. We've got a video of Van Dijk winning. We haven't got the French video, rights issue there, but we have got the video of him winning at Goodwood. This is a very different racing surface to the one that he'll encounter at the weekend.
Yeah, this is soft ground at Glorious Goodwood in the Richmond Stakes, which he obviously handled very well. He sort of came to prominence this day and then confirmed it in the Prix-Marny. Matt talked about his rounded knee action. He has got a bit of one, hasn't he? And all of his form is on soft ground. So if you are looking to take the favourite on, for all that his form is the best in the race, I think that's the one thing that you're hanging on to, really. And it's a case of wait and see if he handles faster conditions on the Rolling Mile.
You'd have a concern about coming down the dip, wouldn't you, on quick ground?
Yeah.
With that, it'd be interesting. And it's worth pointing out River Tiber, the O'Brien team, Ryan Moore in his Betfair column. They think he's going to finish a lot closer in that morning. He pulled a muscle in the build-up to that race. I think he was underdone. I think he's come forward. So, fascinating rematch. Let's have a look at the pace, Matt. How's this going to be run before we get to our selection time? Now, this is easier to read, Matt, compared to the Cambridgeshire. We can see names on this one. Jazzer to go from the front, but you wouldn't expect Van Dijk to be too far away. No,
I'd imagine Van Dijk will be fairly handy. I mean, yeah, I don't think you read a whole a whole lot into that, to be perfectly honest. Yeah, there should be a good even gallop. I'd say Lake Forest will be ridden for a turn of speed. He's a quick horse, isn't he? Won the Gimcrat. I think anything that won at the Eber meeting this year had to be a quick horse given the conditions that day. He's a bit of a sleeper, Lake Forest. He's a little bit maybe overlooked, but I think he needs to improve on that form. The bunch of these are about 7, 8, 10 pounds behind the top two, and I do see it between Van Dijk and River Tiber again.
And the vote goes to?
Yeah, vote goes to Van Dijk. I'll stay loyal to the Brits. He needs to fly the flag, Dave.
Come on, fly the flag, Van Dijk. Ben?
I'm not sure we'll see Giselle lead. When he won the July Stakes, he was dropped in the rear, and I know he went forward in France, but his best form was when he was dropped in, and I think he might be again by Richard Kingscote on Saturday. I think he's got a chance back on better ground at Newmarket. Another one I'd give a word to is Task Force, the Rafe Beckett Frankel colt out of Special Duty, who won despite the track, I would say, at Ripon last time. Keen in the rear, overcame the undulations. That'll have done him the world of good experience-wise going to Newmarket on Saturday. So it's tough to take on the big two, and I'm reluctant to, I must admit. It might be a bit of a no-bet race for me, but I do look at Giselle and Task Force and think they might be the ones to put it up to the front two in the market.
So have a quick look now at the Juddmonte Cheveley Park Stakes. It's the Group 1 for the 2-year-old fillies. We've got the time form ratings here. Now, this has got a British top rated in Relief Rally for William Haggas and Sporting Life. You can see there across the Mania Suede Silks. But it's a pound clear, Matt. This is a much tighter race on those numbers.
Yeah, it is, but that's not reflected in the betting. I think she's really short. She's too short, around 9-4, 2-1 Relief Rally. And she's clearly a now horse. She's a good, fast 2-year-old, but she's not miles clear at all. Porta Fortuna brings fairly solid credentials from Ireland as well. Jasna's Secret's exciting, bought by Wathan Racing, 2 from 2 at Deauville. Interesting with her, the French filly, she's been able to race quite tight to the stands rail at Deauville on both starts, and I just wonder if drawn in the middle, stalls in the centre, she might just find this a different beast on the Rolly Mile. It's got a new challenge for her. I really like Sacred Angel in this race. I think she's underestimated again. She was underestimated when she won at a big price at Ascot in the summer in the Princess Margaret. She went to the Prix Morny. We just mentioned how strong that form was. She finished 4th. She did best of those racing towards the 4 in that race on very soft ground. It was much quicker, obviously, when she won at Ascot previously, and she's back on decent ground. She's stall 1, prominent racer. I think that will really suit her on this track. Charlie Johnson, obviously the Johnson Yard have won this before with Lumiere, who made all. They were second with Raffle Prize a few years ago as well. I think this has been a big target. It's a big day for Charlie Johnson, this, and Sacred Angel's a bit of a flag bearer for him.
Tip for Sacred Angel from Matt there. Scoop, before we get your tips, have a look at Relief Rally winning the Sky Bet Lowther at York. David Johnson on the Sporting Life podcast in the week, time form flat editor, he's worried about this flat spot. She's in the green there, 3rd from the left, being rode along a little bit. He wonders if she's going to lose her pitch at a crucial stage on Saturday.
Yeah, it's a valid concern at Newmarket, isn't it? We see time and time again, especially in these top-level juvenile races, that it really pays to be on the speed, especially when conditions are riding fairly quick like they are. And she did really well to win the Sky Bet Lowther this day, coming from where she did. You know, York's another track where it is difficult to show that turn of foot and come from off the pace. So I think that is a feather in her cap. But at Newmarket, I'm like Matt. I just think she's pretty short at around 2-1. Considering her running style.
What are you going to take her on with?
I don't know.
Well, there you go. You don't have to have an opinion on everything.
Well, Matt's convinced me with Sacred Angel, but the French horse is interesting, isn't she? Jasna's Secret. I'm not entirely convinced by her form, but she could be anything. And again, it's a bit of a lukewarm betting heat for me, so I'll probably just stick to the Cambridgeshire.
There you are. Stick to the Cambridgeshire for Ben. Strong fancy for Matt, though, in the Cheveley Park with Sacred Angel. They're their thoughts ahead of Saturday's big race action at Newmarket. And don't forget to check out our preview tour of Sunday, where we take a big in-depth look at the Qatar Prix de l'Arc de Triomphe.